All right. I think for anyone who's just joined us, feel free to share your LinkedIn in the chat. You'll also be able to post any questions that you have there, and Eduardo and Matt will answer you live. But I think in the interest of time, we will get started since we're going to be setting up this recording and everyone can catch up. So, hi everyone. Welcome to our session on creating community growth and loyalty. And I'm super excited to have both Matt and Eduardo here from Creds. My name is Ruthie. I lead the New York chapter for Led by Community. I guess you know what Led by Community is because you've joined this event, but it's a community for community professionals. And we're all about enriching and learning. And so I'm super excited to have these two join me. And so just some housekeeping. Feel free to drop your LinkedIns in the chat so we can connect afterwards. And of course, any questions that you have, you can put them live in the chat and we'll try to get to them. And if not, we'll have a section dedicated for live Q&A. All right. And with that, I think we'll get started. Eduardo, I'm going to kick it over to you. I would love to just like a quick intro yourself, what's your relationship to the community world, where you're calling in from, and then we'll continue with Matt.
Sounds great. Hi, Ruthie. Hi, everyone. My name is Eduardo. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Checks and Creds, and I've been working with communities for a very long time. I'm a marketeer. Have had my own agency. Worked for big tech companies, dealing with distributors and their communities. So I had to do a lot of traveling back in the day and meeting people and connecting and making connections, and explaining the product that used to market and sell back then. Always was always great to meet people and learn how they're using the product and what they thought about the stuff that we were building. And since then, all the following jobs that I had always involved not only doing marketing but also building a community around it. And that's how a lot of ideas, bouncing ideas with Sal, who's I can see here, and Matt, we came up with Creds.
Amazing. Matt, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Ruthie. Hi, everybody. I'm Matt. I'm the community manager at Checked and Creds. So I've been in community now for coming up to about 4 years. It wasn't really something that was originally on my radar. For those that are just joining, you may have missed it. I keep birds, so apologies in advance if they make a little bit of a noise. I have a background in technology. I started discovering community and understanding a little bit more about the dynamics, and then understanding a lot more about people. And from there, fell into the underlying technology stack of Creds and fell in love with it. Game-changing technology, in my opinion. And then from then, we sort of moved forward, bounced some ideas, and we came up with the idea of Creds, which is what we're here to talk about today.
Amazing. So yeah, before we kind of dive into what is trust and reputation, and how anyone on here can grow their community and run loyalty campaigns, I think probably a question that's on a lot of people's minds is, what is Creds?
Great. I can take this one, Matt. In summary, Creds is a platform for communities to have verifiable and quantified trust and reputation. This allows them to better understand their community and be able to really tailor their community and marketing activities to fit their community. And the great benefits is that of that is that their members are also able to build a reputation that they can take anywhere, expanding the communities and also interlinking them, which is quite powerful.
Amazing. And I guess the target industry here that for Creds is probably community and gaming.
Community and gaming, yes.
Yeah,
those are probably our industries that we're targeting.
Awesome. So how can a company or community leverage Creds, and what are maybe some use cases just for us to better understand what that is? how that works.
Matt, I saw you start speaking, but you're muted.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking use cases. I mean, as we've mentioned, we've kind of primarily mentioned gaming, but it does actually fall into various types. When we originally set it up, it was focused on communities that are based on technology. You know, some people may or may not be aware of NFTs, but it boils down to gaming, loyalty, and reputation in any kind of community, whether it's, if you like, cars, flowers, whether you do events organizing. One of the things I also wanted to mention, Ruthie, it was the opening question. If I just take a step back a second, it's about what is trust and reputation. And it's essentially, it was interesting. You dropped, the LinkedIn there for everybody. Straight away, we're already signaling what our reputation is. So it's a very important factor in understanding how we engage. And so people get a little bit of a background of who we are, our experiences. But what's great from that is how we can shape that and how we can share that. And from the perspective of community and use cases, and certainly from the LinkedIn perspective, it's about our professional background and capabilities. Creds can fit into all of that, but yes, for now we are focusing largely on the gaming side of things to start with.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people who signed up for this probably were attracted by the words trust and reputation, and I think that probably has a very different meaning depending on industry, depending on who you are. But I would love to hear kind of from you both, like how do you define trust, and is it broken or not? And what is the kind of impact of AI, I think, on trust is a really interesting question. But yeah, I think let's start with what is trust? How would you define it in this context?
Matt, I'll let you answer this one because you do have a really good definition, and I can talk a little bit about, trust being broken or not.
Well, it is and it isn't. I'm going to kind of go out on a limb and say to a large degree, especially in this day and age, it kind of is. I mean, we've all heard about AI. It's an incredibly powerful tool. Everybody can use it. It speeds up our productivity. Sadly, there is a bit of a downside. Sometimes we can't always understand if it's AI generated or whether or not somebody's produced a piece of work and they've claimed it's theirs, but it's actually just been spewed out from a large language model. And again, it goes then further down the rabbit hole into things like deepfakes. And I'm sure everybody's seen all kinds of horror stories around. I mean, one recent story, which was incredibly popular, a chief financial officer for one company fell victim to a deepfake and signed over crazy sums of money to somebody who was essentially impersonating them using AI technology. So that's when we start to peel it back a little bit and we start to think about trust and reputation. So what's very clear to us is that we need to start bridging more of the gaps of trust so that when people are engaging online, whether it's through avatars or pseudonymity or with people who we believe they are and not just a fake profile, we need to start and collect signals of who we can trust and why we trust them, and not just simply take things at face value, because we believe there is certainly an element of broken trust. And to be quite honest, it needs fixing.
Yeah, Eduardo, do you wanna jump in on that about the broken trust?
Well, Matt already kind of answered it, but I just wanted to share an anecdote about reputation. So we were hiring a few months ago, and someone applied through LinkedIn. So Matt mentioned LinkedIn. That's why it came to mind. And the person lied about a lot of things, and they didn't apply directly to us. They applied to a partner, a company that's one of our partners, and they came back to us and asked, "Oh, do you know this person? How good is it, this person is?" And the reality is that this person just went there and copied a bunch of information from our website and from some of our employees, and just pretended that they worked here at Creds, and the only way he was caught is because he didn't know that the company he was applying for knew us. So that's a good example why trust and reputation is important and how it can be easily be broken or manipulated in a way in this day and age.
And that's exactly why I mentioned the LinkedIn examples about using signals for our reputation and how it can, be used for malicious purposes.
Yeah. Reputation has been thrown around a lot so far, but I would love to hear about how you define reputation and why you think it's important. Oh, I think
How do
you're.
you? Yeah, thank you. Reputation, I mean, it covers a lot of things. For me, it all starts around who we are. It's a foundation of our identity. It's not just a case of oh well, I know this person and they think I'm good at this. It's more about our experiences. It's about who we engage with, where we've been, the quality of our engagements. It's about understanding the 360 degree of who I am, both in the real world and the digital world. And once we start to aggregate all of that information, we suddenly start to build a profile whereby, especially when you bring in an element of trust, which sends a powerful signal out. It's not just a case of that I've got writings on Word on a screen or a website or a popular social media or a professional networking site. It's something tangible. It's something that somebody can use, not just in the interest, or sorry, in relation to creds, but generally. Reputation has become not only something which is sadly in many cases underestimated. It's also, in our opinion, going to end up a new commodity, essentially.
Yeah. And just to add a little bit to it for the data nerds out there, reputation is also a measure of how trustworthy you are, a measure of how reliable, how the quality of your work. So it's a bunch of factors that is tied to your identity, and also in a way it's a measure of the way you do things.
Yeah, I think this definitely resonates, and I want to kind of bring it to kind of the context of community more specifically. Why do you think that both trust and reputation are so critical, especially in the context of community?
Cool. That's a great question. I'll start with trust, and Matt, maybe you can complement about reputation. So trust is very important for a community. So in our view, a community can only thrive if you can rely on your fellow community members and also trust that they share and they're very passionate about the mission of your community. Without trust, the community in a way kind of dies, because if you lose trust on that someone, a member of your community doesn't align to the ideals that the community is promoting, things just go downhill. And this happens as an example, in companies, right? When someone kind of loses trust on the leadership or loses trust in the product, everything kind of goes down. And I feel it's the same with communities.
Yeah. And Matt, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about reputation?
Yeah, so the reputation side of things in communities. I mean, there are various types of communities. Some, we can know who each other are. We can claim to know each other are, and then sometimes we have to trust an anonymity. So when we look at what reputation can be and why it's sort of beneficial from a community, like to give you an example, I might be a designer and I join a photography community because I'm looking for a photographer to help me with a piece of work, and say I find someone. It's like, yeah, I can help you, but at the same time, the copywriter is also looking for someone to help produce content for various types. Through introduction in a community sense, whether it's in person or whether it's via online communities, by building together a connection and understanding the skills and expertise and how reliable an individual is, we can suddenly start to not only build a network effect, but there are signals where, as we move on our community journeys and start connecting with new people, we can also not only bring new value, but we can also refer where value can be in other communities to start blending and bringing that trusted reputation within various communities, so we can track the value flow.
Yeah, Excellent. So now we can bring it back to Creds. So what makes Creds unique here when it comes to like verifying trust and reputation? Because now that we've established it's important and why it's so critical in the context of community, how can Creds help us?
Okay. Well, it's the beauty of Creds is that not only is there a platform that doesn't have the capabilities that we have, it all relies on the underlying technology. I don't want to get too far into it, but essentially, the way that a credential works is that it's not just, again, going back to the LinkedIn example, it's not just like a piece of text. It's somewhere where I can have a look at a claim. I'm good at this, or I have these roles, and I can present that to you, Ruthie. But I give you a mechanism where you can, let's say, for simple terms, click a button, and that click a button will go back to the community of which issued me this cred, and that community manager, let's say, will be able to come back automatically, cryptographically, and say, yes, this is true. We attest to the fact that these claims are completely legitimate. It's tamper-proof and it's immutable, and it's completely secure. And the reason why is because the technology that it relies on is essentially a blockchain technology which can't be changed. And the reason why that's incredibly powerful is because no other community platform has a way to be able to verify a person's reputation or verify their skills and experiences. And that's what's unique about Creds from a community perspective and how we can verify the reputation.
Great. And can you share a little bit about like the value that you can capture here through this flow?
I can. So, I mean, value comes in many forms, whether it's through, speaking on a webinar, finding a great host. It could be to do with, again, as I mentioned earlier, finding a designer, fixing a computer, a programmer, it doesn't matter. Once you start spreading out with your area of expertise and you start connecting with new people and suddenly you build these relationships where you can see a verifiable reputation, I can then start to say, hey, you know what? I know somebody over here who's looking for a great coder. If you can maybe come over, whether it's for pro bono or you can work out some kind of relationship, maybe we can then strike a deal. And in turn, you might get some business back. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a monetary exchange. It can be something which is, I believe in what it is that you're doing. I believe in your passion. I believe in your mission. It's something that I can get behind. And the great thing about when we start to look at the actual platform itself, the analytics and insights that we're developing, we'll be able to monitor and keep an eye on the community, who they are engaging with, and also understand how a person's journey, if they decide to disclose it, because it's completely private, we believe in privacy. It's the underlying foundation of our technology. Should they decide to disclose that and anything we've issued from our community, we can understand exactly what it is that they're doing and see how they're building reputation and who they're connecting with. That's what we mean by capturing the value. It's not just necessarily a monetary exchange. It's also about pro bono work and just exchanging ideas in a way that's trusted, which is important.
Yeah, just to add to it, because Matt did a really good job in describing the main value of Creds, but in more practical terms, what it means is that by having this verifiable trust and reputation, it enables you to create fun activities for your community. So it allows a way to gamify your community. So you increase engagement, you recruit more, you onboard more people to your community, and you do it in a fun way. So your members will start building their reputation, which they'll be able to use in other communities. They might be rewarded by you if you're running some sort of loyalty program. So they have all these advantages, and you have a tool that you can create desirable, what we call creds, desirable things that they can collect, and at the same time just getting all this analytics, which will allow you to not only better understand your community but also make the more informed decisions to, okay, everyone likes doing this, let's do more of this, or we've done too much of this, let's do something else.
Yeah. Well, I think that we've talked a lot about all of these things, but I think it's best to kind of see it. It would be amazing if one of you could share your screen and maybe show us just a quick demo live run through of how this all works, because I think that really kind of seeing it will tie it all together.
No problem. I can dive into that. Again, just in advance, if the birds start making a noise, please excuse them because they tend to get a little bit noisy when I start talking. So let me just share my screen one moment. There's the share screen button. Creds build. Okay. So can you just let me know verbally if you can see my screen okay?
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Great. Lovely. Okay. So this is the initial landing page of Creds. It's so we'll go in, we'll create an account, a studio account. By the way, Eduardo has left some links there in the chat if you want to go ahead and check that out. So the journey starts by building a credential. We need a way to issue reputation, to build loyalty programs and campaigns to get people involved. There are different types of credentials. You know, we can start with roles, whether it's a moderator, an ambassador. You can get the idea. Whether or not we want to create a learning journey or just show that somebody's learned something. We can even look at scheduling events and setting up limits so that it becomes desirable. You know, we can create the exclusivity that people want to engage more and feel as if they want to get more involved. And another side is endorsements. Again, it's sending a strong signal that you're making a recommendation. And again, achievements, which can be anything. So one of the things that we can look at, very common in our industry, is we all need help, right? Whether it's an ambassador or a moderator, and we need to ensure that the people who we are working with that are moderating our community are trustworthy and not just somebody who's an impersonator or a copycat, which can happen in various industries, as we've already talked about. So what we'll do is very quickly, we'll dive in and we'll create a role. It's very quick. So I want to call this one is my mod cred role. And then we'll just call it my cred, just for the sake of getting it up and running. So you can set any kind of description. You can be as creative as you like or as professional as you like. It doesn't really matter. It's down to your own case. Now, this is the interesting part, because what we can do here is we've got various attributes we can set up, whether or not we want to set it as part of a campaign. In this case, it's a mod role, but we can actually set different kinds of gamification elements. For instance, we can add particular topics about what the moderation role is about. We can also add rarity. So, for instance, if you have a journey for your moderators to go through as part of improving their knowledge on your products and services, or just individuals in the team, you can start to then build in these gamification elements so people keep continuously engaged. But just for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to skip this part. Anything you don't put in these attributes, we'll just leave it blank on the credential. Then the next part is being able to upload an image. Now, I'm a big fan of artificially generated images. So I've pre-created some here. It's nice and quick. So we just throw that in there. You can choose any kind of image you want within a certain size, and then we'll click continue. So this comes back to now about the desirability of creating a credential, making people want to get more involved, so they feel like, they're really part of that mission and that passion. So what can we do here? We can set a price. Now, why would we want to set a price for issuing a moderator a credential? It might not make much sense at the face of it, but let's say I'm setting up an event for my community, which is smoked cars. It's a fictitious community for car enthusiasts who are interested in keeping alive classic cars, performance cars, and they attend all these events, and they do car meets, and we might be looking for stewards. I can set a price on that and say, well, you know what, all of the money that we generate from this particular entry goes towards the event, and you register as a steward. The other thing is I can set a limit. Now, this applies to all kinds of credentials. Let's say we can only have 30 people or 130 people for an event that will host 1,000 people. This is just one very quick example. So we just go ahead and click continue. It's giving me a heads up that I haven't set a price and what my limit is. I will click confirm. Now, at this final stage, what I'm going to do is create a claim code for my moderator for an event that I'm setting up who wants to give some extra help. Now, the great thing about a claim code is that we can distribute it en masse very easily. It's just a link, we can either issue them individually, which can be done. It can be done relatively quickly, or we can we can add it in blogs, media, or any kind of content that we publish out there to gauge people's interest to draw them into the event. But anyway, we'll just move forward with that, and then we shall click save. And then that's the first part. That's it. The credentials created. Yeah, there are no attributes there at the moment, but just for the sake of the demo, I've just sped forward that. This will take us to the next section. So I've, for my fictitious community, I've created various factions as part of membership tiers, depending on the onboarding journey that I've set up. I might want to segregate my community into different areas, depending on their knowledge or expertise. And obviously there's lots of different cars. So that's what we've set up. One of the other things I've done is I've pre-prepared an event, the classic clash, where everybody from all over my community, they all get together, they bring their classic cars of all shapes and sizes, and then we will then be able to get those issued out to people so that they can attend the event. Now, well, how can I issue a credential? Well, as I've mentioned, I can use a claim code, which is very simple. I just copy this, I can embed it in a QR code, I can hide it in a hyperlink in a blog, I can put it in YouTube videos, anywhere you want, nice and simple. Or I can upload an RSVP list, people that might have been pre-eligible from a previous campaign. So it's quite flexible. We have various types of connectors, but essentially that's a very simple way to be able to issue credentials. Now, the other thing is well, how do I see the credentials that I've got? So we can see here, I can go drill in and I can see a list of credentials that I've already created, and I can just expand the list. It shows me all of the different types of credentials, whether or not it's people who are event organizers, photographers. Is pretty self-explanatory. So I can go into my role cred and I can actually find out how many people I have issued this credential to, how many have claimed, and how many are pending. I believe I've got one earlier, which was the Classic Clash event. So if I go in now, I've already started a campaign. And here we can see that at the moment, I've set a limit of 1,000. So we're using that desirability, that exclusivity. So if people, they want to get involved, to feel part of it. And it will keep a count from this 1,000 under technology. Once it hits the certain limit, it acts like a ticket. Unfortunately, there is no more entry. So we can keep an eye on exactly who is claimed and who is pending. So we will know where or not. So we can send a follow-up emails and let people know, it's time to get involved in the event. And I guess the final stage for now, which we're always going to be adding more parts to this is where we start to gather more information about our community. This is the 360-degree view that we've mentioned a couple of times earlier. So we can see how many credentials of each type that we've issued to the Smoked Cars Fictitious community. We can see the total amount that have been issued, and it gives us an idea on how many creds have been claimed overall across our entire ecosystem in our community and how many are pending. Now, why is this useful? Well, because it gives me an idea of how engaged my community are. It also tells me what types of things that they're interested in, because it tells me the most particular types of creds and what specific cred. And then I know whether or not I want to create more of that to build engagement, or I might want to do something to say is create personalized experiences, because I can also see who are my top collectors. Now we can see here we've got various people from, this is a demo profile from internally in our team, how many creds they've collected, also, what the status of each claim is. And from that, I can then not only see how many people are claiming the creds for engagement, but I'm finding my top contributors. I'm finding people who are super fans. And then that then gives me a signal to start building loyalty programs and reward loyalty. I might want to then set up an event and say, hey, you know what? You've come to so many different events, or you've helped so many people with your knowledge and expertise of fixing cars. We're going to give you a discount. You can invite a friend for free, or any other type of loyalty program you can think of. And coming soon as well as the enhanced module for building sets of insights that will send you regular prompts so that you don't need to go digging into the information. You'll come to the dashboard and it will just tell you anything that might be rotting or your most important points, and give that to you as a strong signal so you can make quite a simple act to move forward. Essentially for now, that's a quick overview of Creds. Eduardo, have I missed anything there?
I think you covered most things. It's good to reinforce that you have tools to start gamifying your community, getting a track that you get to see what is working, what's not working. This can be applied to traditional marketing as well, because you can embed the claim codes on your marketing activities like email marketing, newsletter, know exactly who's reading. So I think what's cool for a marketeer, so a little bit going sideways from community, but I still think it's useful for community as well, is that you can add Creds as a analytical layer on top of any other platform they're using. So we're not competing with stuff that already exists. We're kind of complementing and adding this trust and reputation layer that no other platform has. And we've been talking with the big boys, let's say in the community world, to get this to get Creds integrated. They're quite positive. We're having some really good some good chats, and it's again just a way for you to better understand your community.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eduardo.
Thank you both. I don't see any questions in the chat, but I will just say thank you very much for sharing everything. And I think that's quite clear that you're both experts in both trust and reputation, how to handle that online. If you are watching this recording, I'm sure we'll include a link to claim your free creds. But you can connect with both Eduardo and Matt on LinkedIn and also in the Led by Community Slack if you're a member. And I think if there are any follow-up questions, you can just send it their way. In the meantime, thank you both so much for joining me and sharing all of your insights and expertise. And I look forward to seeing the rest of you at the next Led by Community event. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ruthie.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank you so
Ruthie.
much.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one.